All right, man. Welcome back to another video. Going to start doing these a lot more often, just because it's basically the end of the college football 25 life cycle, and these are just more my thoughts about the game after basically almost a full year playing it. And let's get into another video. Today, I want to talk about coach abilities and honestly what they should change, and to be honest, kind of what they should keep. I kind of talked about this in my first video, just my thoughts about, well, my wish list with college football 26. If you haven't watched that video, please look at it. It is my newest video. Well, one of them anyway. And today I want to talk more in depth about the college football 25 coach abilities. Now, as you can see, this is my offline dynasty with Miami. I am well into the future. Uh, we're in 2035, but this is just to show just some things that I've noticed about the game specifically. Well, from my personal view, I'm not an expert in college football or anything like that. I don't play it super competitive or anything like that, like some other guys do, and like uh college football ultimate team. Like, I don't really do ultimate team. I like playing dynasty. I'll play dynasty with like friends and stuff like that. I'm competitive in that way, but as far as that other stuff, not really. But anyway, let's dive into it. So as you can see, I stuck with the actual coach that, well, the likeness of the coach that is with Miami. And for the most part, he had all of these things already. I believe the only thing he didn't have was motivator, and as you can see, I got CEO. So let's take a look at elite recruiter. He had most of these. He already had elite recruiter. He already had second tier already. I don't know how much better second tier helps you, but considering that he already had it anyway, and I didn't really do too much in this. I didn't really do a lot in the recruiting, in the recruiter ability, just simply because, I mean, he already had tier two. Well, he already had uh level tier, level two tier abilities already um down here. So I didn't really have to do too much. And to be honest, Miami is a big school. I went with a popular school just to show it's easier to get players. And like Miami or Florida, big schools, a lot easier to get talent. 4-star school, a lot easier to get talent and keep talent, things like that, because it has pretty much everything you want. It has campus lifestyle, good facilities, good program, good conference. Champion. It's always going to be more or less in the championship contender range. Um, Brand exposure is always going to be good, typically, and coach prestige. That just depends on if you create a new coach or not, honestly, or if one of your coordinators decides to leave, and things are like that. The deal breakers, basically. So it looks bad, but it's not that hard for me to still get recruits. I don't have level 3 with everything. I didn't even honestly need it. Although I do lose a couple recruits when it comes to like defense, uh, or like just not increasing the hours. Like, my defense pretty much is at 60 for the most part, 60 hours. So, you know, I still get enough. I focused more so on offense because they are an offense heavy team, and just the way I wanted to run it, I focused more so on offense. Although I should have focused on quarterback, but I didn't. It's all good. Now, when it comes to the second tier, of recruiter, you get additional interest for every 10 hours spent for tier 1. Tier 2, school grades have a larger impact. Tier 3, boost to pipeline bonus. And tier 4, boost to ideal pitch grades. Now, all of these sound good. The one thing I will say, just having tier 1 can make a big difference, especially with 5 stars. Specifically, because from my experience, when it comes to 5 stars, if you put the maximum amount of hours that you can, if you have 60 hours or 65, or it goes up to 80 hours, you can have 80 hours max for one position. I don't think a lot of people know that when it comes to recruiter, but if you have another coordinator that has recruiter and they pretty much have at least this first tier maxed out basically, or at least up to tier 3, it'll max out to 80 hours. That's as far as you can go. As far as I know, I haven't gotten like a defensive and offensive coordinator to get both to at least tier 3 cuz they typically leave before that. But from what I noticed, me personally, having at least tier 1 on recruiter level 2 makes their recruiting go by a lot faster. They don't lollygag around and things of that nature from my experience. I've had 5 stars I've honestly had them commit in 4 weeks, honestly. Like there's been a couple years where I only maybe recruited 10 to 15 players depending on what I needed, 5 or 4 star. I had a lot of those 5 stars commit in 4 weeks. So, and I think that's primarily because you gain more interest for every 10 hours spent, which is good in a lot of ways. But the only problem with recruiter, it's really tier 2 is really hard to get. You have to get a top 5 class without it. And depending on what school you choose, that can take that could take a while. That could take 4 or 5 years. Just like I said, depending on your school and to be honest, how you scout. Um, I mean, there's different methods to do it. I have my own method. I could get into that another time. But I think it really just depends on how you scout, how you recruit. If you actually go after people you need or just big names and things like that. You definitely have to go after 4 and 5 stars to get a top 5 class. But that is going to take a while depending on what school you choose. So if you want to choose a 4 or 5 star school just to see how it works, then by all means do that. But if you're choosing like a 2 star or even a 3 star school, like unless you if you start off with them, I mean it's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be really really tough. Because you're gonna have to at least you're not gonna get top 5 with just all 4 stars. You're gonna have to at least get 2 or 3 5 stars from my experience to get a top 5 class. Because there's always gonna be Oregon is always gonna be top 5, top 7 because they recruit 35 players every year, which is very strange. They're the only school that recruits 35 players every single year. Typically Georgia, Alabama's always up there, Texas, LSU, and then it just kind of depends on the year. Those schools tend to fall off eventually the further you go into a dynasty. But recruiter, really good. Maybe they change a couple things about it, or even show like how much interest you do gain in some cases. Obviously, that let me show you. Obviously, that gray or not gray, whatever color your team is. So this green. Obviously, that lighter shade is the interest, but it varies. It varies depending on how many hours you put. So send the house is 50. I don't know how big of a boost that is compared to putting in that 60 hours or even the hard sell and things of that nature. Maybe I mean maybe there's a way to like show that better, but at the same time, it kind of just depends on the recruit. So I get it. Either way, recruiter is good. There's probably some things that they could fix or add to it. Maybe instead of being able to recruit, maybe being able to fully scout someone, that's an ability that you have to learn maybe in second tier. But I've said even in my wish list video, I think they should have more points in general. Instead of maybe like 260 or 280, maybe make it 400 so it looks a little better. Maybe 350 and things like that, because there's no point of getting a second tier because not, they cost too much. They cost 8. All of these cost 8. So like recruiter, motivator, and tactician, they all cost 8 points. You're not going to have enough points to even use them by that point, honestly. And to get them is still hard to do in itself. Getting a top 5 class is very challenging. Because you really have to put you really have to make it a mission to um, put in the work to actually get it. And there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, because you're going after 5 stars, obviously you're going to go against the top tier schools, so you got to figure out you got to be able to beat them for talent, and that's pretty hard to do depending on your school and like what your level is and deal breakers and all that stuff as well. Um, I think recruiter is solid though. Strategist. I don't know why this is here. I'm gonna be honest. Strategist has got to be one of the worst. It's just got to be one of the worst coach abilities ever. Simply because you don't have enough time or hours to spend on visits. What the computer does is they'll take their hours away from a player to schedule a visit. You don't want to do that because that's typically how they get beat when it comes to visits. If you take away the hours and just strictly put them on the visit, if that visit's not until week 8, they're not going to be gaining any interest from your school and you'll get knocked out of the top 3 easy. If it's week 2 or week 3 and that person's already in their top 5, but you can't schedule a visit until week 7, week 8, as far as the computer is concerned, and you take all of their hours away just to schedule that visit, you're done. You're cooked. You're cooked. This is a terrible, terrible coaching ability. I can't imagine anyone using this. And on top of that, they cost 8 points to do each. This is such a waste. Why is this 8? It costs 40 points. It costs 40 hours to schedule a visit. Strategist is terrible. You're not going to use these because you don't know who you're going to schedule visits for. You may not even need to schedule a visit for DBs because you go after players that are strictly in your pipeline only. If you go for players in your pipeline and you have a tier 4 or tier 5 pipeline for those, you know, for whatever your pipeline is, if I got a Florida pipeline, if I would never need this. Even if I have a tier 3 for anybody, I would never need this. I would never need this even if I didn't, strictly because if you know how to recruit, you know how to schedule visits. Sometimes you get lucky with a visit for sure, but sometimes it's hit or miss. You could have a great visit and still lose. It's happened plenty of times in this game. You could have a good visit. You could be a rival. You could blow them out. A rivalry game plus a blowout is like plus 150%. I mean, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it literally doesn't matter. You could have the hard sell on and everything. If you are in that pipeline, it helps for sure. If you're not in that pipeline, it's really 50-50 sometimes. depending on how close that school is. If they pretty much have caught you before your visit, you might be cooked. You honestly might be cooked. Visits are not the end all be all, except if you lose that game. If you lose a game, unless it's early, unless it's early into the season when you schedule a visit. If you schedule a visit for week 4, you still could have a chance, especially if you have a big enough lead. If you don't have a big enough lead and you lose that game, you're cooked. You might as well go ahead and drop out because you're not getting that player. Strictly speaking. Um, on top of this, I never understood the point of having visits in the bye week and it does nothing for you. It does not. It does absolutely nothing for you. Visits during the bye week are only good for the transfer portal because that's when it matters. That's the only time that actually has any effect as far as I've seen. Other than that, during the regular season, I don't even understand the point of doing it. It literally has no impact, and it shows you it has no impact. So it's just, I don't know, just to have them on campus, I guess. Strategist, useless. Take this out for a totally different coaching ability. I don't know what. Maybe something to do with, hell, I don't know. Maybe make this a, instead of strategist, maybe make this a way to persuade your coordinators to stay. Instead of them wanting to leave, if you win too much, your coaches automatically leave. If you win too much, your coordinators automatically leave. Maybe make it a way, just like you can, just like in, I want to say CEO. No, it's not CEO. In Program Builder, because I never did Program Builder, there's an ability that has, I'm sorry, there's an ability in Program Builder where you have the chance of persuading seven, all your people that want to go into the draft to stay. Why can't you do that for your coordinators? Now, I don't know how that would work necessarily. I mean, I kind of feel like in that sense, money would be a thing, even though they technically don't have money in this. Maybe you offer them the head coach position and then you go to the offensive coordinator position. I don't know. Like, maybe, I don't know. Because most of these coordinators want to be head coaches or things like that, or they want to go to a better school. A lot of the times, if you're a 5-star school, I mean, there's not much better that you can go. There's not much better you can get unless you just strictly want to be a head coach. But there should be an option to be able to possibly get your coach back instead of them just leaving and they're gone forever. Or or maybe this, on top of that, maybe if you get a high enough tier, maybe this has a second tier. Maybe you have the chance of making them have multiple pipelines. That could be a thing. Now that would make things a lot more interesting for this game, in my opinion, moving forward. Simply because if you can persuade your coordinator to come back, and as a level 2 or a tier 2 bonus, like you have with recruiter, tactician, and motivator, maybe you have the ability to get an additional pipeline for your coordinator. Hell, or even for yourself. But I'll talk about that in another part. Maybe they have the chance of getting another pipeline. But you have to consistently, but they can also lose that pipeline if they don't consistently recruit players. Maybe I would say at least 40% of the players you recruit have to be from that pipeline. I think that could work. That would make the game a lot more challenging, especially in online dynasties, in my opinion. So that way, you have to. They need to make recruiting a little harder, in my opinion. Now, it's going to be hard in itself when you have other players in a dynasty. But making it a little more challenging, it just recruiting itself, I think it because it is hard. You should be able to persuade players to come to your team. Like honestly. So I think that would be good, in my opinion. Motivator, I think motivator is good, but my thing with the second tier for this, with level two tier with motivator, I don't. You have to get to tier three for it to really matter. I don't care about a boost in toughness, stamina, and energy. And to be honest, injuries don't happen that often in this game. If injuries really were more of a thing like they are kind of in real life, maybe tier one actually matters. I don't care about a composure boost to start the game. Who cares about starting the game with a composure boost? How about going into the fourth quarter with it, like the first tier, like the first level? But who wants? But that doesn't matter either. At the same time, because only thing that matters is tier three, off season training. Tier three, increase all XP gains. Those are the only two that matter. But I'm not paying 24 points just to get to tier three for one position. One. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not. Not paying 24 when I could just pay 15 for the positions that I want. And as you see, now I understand why they got to be more expensive because this is a tier two. This is a level two. So, you had to work to get this. But increase all, like, this is the only reason these don't work is, in my opinion, you have to focus pretty much specifically on one of these: recruiter, motivator, or tactician. You have to specifically go in one and go all or nothing if you really want to do the level two of that particular ability. Because if you try to be a jack of all trades, it's not going to work. You're only going to be surface. And you're not going to be able to get tier three for all of these. Honestly, like, you're just not. You're not going to have enough points. Unfortunately, you're better off getting coordinators that have the trilogy. Like, this coordinator has motivator and tactician. This one has more recruiter and tactician, but he does have motivator as well. This guy doesn't really have any recruiter. It's grayed out, as you can see. He has all three, and he's pretty good. He has level four abilities for level. He has tier four abilities for level two. But this guy, JoJo, he is one of the few recruiter or coordinators in general that is his pipeline is national. One of the few, and he's literally been here since the beginning. He has not left my team yet. I'm actually really surprised because most coordinators leave after a couple years, whether you're doing good or bad. If you're doing really good, they're going to leave in 3 years once their contract is up. Honestly, maybe your coordinators have objectives that they need to complete as well. Maybe give them some objectives. If you're the head coach and things like that, maybe they got objectives they need to fill out. The same way, if you go to under the coach setting, you have XP goals. If you got XP goals, why shouldn't they to help out? How many players you get drafted and things like that. Why not? To make it a little more interesting. That's just my opinion. But just going back to the abilities, tactician is good. It really does help, especially scheme guru. Scheme guru definitely can make a difference. More so if you do if you do no huddle. Most of this is tailored to no huddle. Fast tempo offense. This this does not matter. I think this is a useless one. It like they put some of these in here. I feel like just to put some of these in here. The penalty thing, the penalty thing only matters when the play clock is below 10 seconds. Most of these guys are gonna do a penalty anyway. Like it doesn't matter. I did this in another dynasty. It has no effect, unfortunately. Once it gets below 10 seconds on the play clock before you snap the ball, they're once you get to 5 seconds and you still haven't called hut, they're gonna get you a false start every time. Every time. Crowd noise. Crowd noise is good when it's your team, when you're at home. But if your school isn't a top 25 crowd, stadium post, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if that quarterback has field general or, oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't even matter if that quarterback doesn't have headstrong. Honestly, they'll still be able to call plays. They'll still be able to change plays and things like that. And everybody will still hear for the most part. You may see one receiver out of the four that's on the field running routes that has a question mark over his head. And they still gonna dot him up. They still gonna throw dots. Scheme Guru is good. But again, it costs 8 points. I understand that it needs to be more expensive. But again, the thing is, obviously there needs to be give and take. You can't just have a perfect coach. Obviously, you can't have just a perfect. What is this? Hexagram? No, what the frick is this? One, two, three, four, five, six. I forgot the name. Octagon. I don't remember. I don't remember the name. You can't have a perfect coach. Plain and simple. So you really have to figure out if you want to be just a level one type guy where you do a few of these out of all three of the big ones, or you want to go into one specifically. Personally, if I did another coach, I would go into Scheme Guru. I would go into Tactician, Scheme Guru, because it has more potential. Tactician is great, but I want to see how much of a boost you get for each of these. Personally, I want to see how much of a pass block and run block boost do I get? Because all you see is the green arrow go up on a particular attribute, but you don't see how much it actually is. Now, the only way you'll probably see that is if you if you go to the view roster and you press triangle on someone, and then maybe you go to the actual attribute ratings, you can see maybe I maybe it will actually show how much the actual rating is, but I don't want to do that. I want to see how much of a boost it is, like RPG games, +5 boost, +11 boost, etc. I want to see that, just like with the training boost in the off season, because it is random. How much better did my player get? How much better did they get? And I don't want to see, when it comes to training results, I don't want to see them with the tactician boost in the offseason. The tactician boost shouldn't be a factor until the season starts again. Once the offseason hits, tactician boost should not matter. So that should cancel out until the start of the new season. Because that's very misleading. That's why you don't look at That's why you don't look at their regular overall. You look at their overall on the right side, their true overall. And that even goes for the opponents. But let me see how much of a boost that I get with these spin move, juke move, ball carrier vision, things like that. I want to see it. Now, the only thing that I'm not really a fan of is cross training. The only reason this doesn't matter to me is simply because your O line are never gonna, unless they're athletes, unless they're athlete O line, unless they're athlete players, O linemen, receivers, they're never gonna be on defense. So it doesn't matter unless you're trying to get their overall higher in like their junior year. You don't think they're gonna possibly, unless you want to try to get them drafted, you switch them to another side. Other than that, it's useless. I think cross training is useless unless you know that you're gonna move some of these. And if you want me to be completely honest, I think you should be able to pick and choose which ones you want. I don't want to have to go through all three of those just to get the receiver cross training. I don't want to. I don't want spin and juke. I want to go straight to man coverage, zone coverage. I don't I don't want pass blocking and run blocking. For what? They can barely do that now. What how much of a boost is this going to actually matter? They can barely run block anyway. They can barely pass block anyway. Let me go straight to trucking, break tackles, spin, juke, quarterback. Most of these matter, except spinning and juking. Get me straight to the accuracy. Why can't you do deep range? Why can't you do deep accuracy? If you can do short and medium, deep accuracy is just as important. DJ Lagway has so much potential, but his deep accuracy never gets better. His deep accuracy is garbage. The highest I've ever seen it is like a 76. Now he's a scrambling quarterback, and you know scrambling quarterbacks don't improve their accuracy that much. Unfortunately, he is fast as hell in the game. Hall of Fame, extender, all kinds of stuff. His accuracy is garbage. Unfortunately. So what are we talking? What are we talking about? Let me pick and choose which one of these I actually use. Run block finesse for what? Let me get straight to short routes and catching, because those are the two that actually matter. Offense and defensive line, all of those matter. Facts, all of those matter. Linebacker, I don't care about finesse moves, block shit necessarily. Let me go straight to man his own coverage, tackling. D line, eh, I don't think change of direction and pursuit matter too much, but the others do. Motivator, I'm sorry, architect. Architect has potential, only in tier one, in my opinion. Tier four is a waste. If you actually go to tier four, you're a waste. You're literally wasting coins. You're really wasting points on that. Tier three, waste of points. Who cares? Tier one is the only one that really matters. Tier two, you have a chance. Receiver is the only one that should matter for, in my opinion. Just because you know receiver skill caps are horrible. You know receiver skill caps are garbage. Maybe running back. Maybe. But those are the only two that, in my opinion, that it matters. Well, at least tier two. That's just me. Tier two, nah. Tier one, you got to think about tier one. In game goals. That only matters for skill positions. If you only play one side of the ball, I only play offense in this dynasty. So quarterback, running back, receiver. If I did play defense, it's literally only going to be linebacker and DB. I don't play D line. That's such a waste. the positions that I would actually play. So linebacker, corners, and safeties. Receiver, running back, because I catch the ball a lot, obviously. I run the ball a lot, obviously, and I throw the ball a lot, obviously. Those are the only ones that matter. But think about it. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. That's 40 points right there. Gone. And what do you have to do to unlock it? I don't even remember. You got to win 4 rivalry games and you got to spend 25 points in tactician. Not hard to do. Not actually hard to do. You could get that. You could probably get that. You could get that in 2 years for sure, depending on what team you pick. Now, I will say, when it comes to rivalry games, just a side note for me, which I should have added this to my wish list. I'm probably going to do a part two for the wish list. When it comes to rivalries, I had to look up some of these teams' rivalries because I just did not know. I'm gonna be honest. I did not know. I didn't know their rivalries. I didn't know their schools that they rival with. When you pick a team, when you go to a dynasty or whatever, it should tell you what their rivalry teams are. Let me show you what I mean. Maybe you don't actually know what I mean. So, when you start a new dynasty, however that may be, yeah. Let's go default. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long.
Welcome to Dynasty Mode. Next, it's
When you
time to
go to
select
pick a
your
team,
rosters.
it
Choose to
should
use
tell
the
you
latest
at the
EA.
bottom
Now it's
somewhere.
time to
Probably it would
customize
probably
your
be best
It's
under
now
the
time to
under the
select your
helmet.
team. Do you want to build a team from the ground up or take
What their
over an
rivalry
established
teams are.
contender?
Some schools don't
Pay
have
attention
that
to
many.
each
Some
team's
schools maybe
prestige
only
rating,
have one or two
represented by
max.
the number of stars
Man, this
next to
guy's still
each team's
talking.
name.
Jesus
Teams with
Christ.
a higher prestige will be
I had
ready
to
to
mute that. I'm
compete for the
sorry.
college football
It
playoff
should
right
literally
away,
tell you
while lower prestige
what
teams
those
provide a
rivalry
greater
schools
challenge
are.
to build
You
into
shouldn't have
contenders.
to look
The
it up.
choice is up to
I
you.
literally had to Google it because I didn't know. Some things, some schools are a little obvious just for the most part, depending on the state. But I didn't know. Charlotte only has 2 rivals. I thought everybody in North Carolina would be their rival, honestly. That's just me. I thought everybody would be their rival, consider it. Kind of the same with Florida. I thought all the schools in Florida would be their rival. It would make sense. They're all in the same state. Who's who is Hawaii's school? Who's their rival? Like, can anybody ever think of that just off the top of their head? Kennesaw State. Who would actually be their rival? Marshall. Could anybody tell me off the top of their head who their rival is? Honestly. Let's Minnesota. Who's their rivals? Ohio. Ohio or Oklahoma State. I mean, they you could assume it'd be at least Oklahoma, but like who else? It should tell you to make it so much easier to see who these rivals are. And hell, to be honest, there should be dynamic. I think there should be dynamic rivals at some point, in my opinion. Just for the simple fact, if you gotta play a school in a conference championship multiple times, or see them in the championship, like maybe in the playoffs or a championship multiple times. If you see the same team in the championship 5 times, I feel like that's a rivalry at that point. If you see the same team in the conference championship 5 times in a row, bro, I kind of feel like that should be a rivalry. For me, my rivals, because I play with West Coast teams, I feel like my rivals would have been Oregon, Georgia, and Alabama. I saw them either in the I saw Oregon in the conference championship a lot, and then when it came to the playoffs, I saw Georgia and Alabama every single year, first round, every single freaking year, man, every year. It didn't matter how bad their record was. They could lose 3 or 4 games. They would still be there. It was insane. I feel like that's a rivalry at that point. Now I beat them, but it's just the simple fact that I don't know. Could be something that they look into. But again, I think archetype is only good for the first tier, in my opinion. And it only matters for skill positions. If if people don't understand what in game goals are, then I kind of feel like they need to make a like an offline dynasty and figure it out. Yeah, motivator tier 3 is the only one that matters. Let's just be honest. Getting drafted, you get XP for quarterbacks when they get drafted top 3 rounds. Like those first 2 tiers don't matter. I'm sorry, they don't. They honestly don't matter. Who cares? Like I don't care about none of that. The only thing that everyone cares about is off season training. Now, this coordinator has everybody level 4. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Kickers, they're really like second tier players in this game. Kickers and punters are really second tier players. Honestly, they really don't matter. If you actually get a kicker or a punter uh drafted, you're a goat because that's really hard to do. And the only way to do that, really, really, is to go after gyms, gym kickers and punters only. And the only ones that matter are power because there's no point of going after a punter. There's no point of going after punter kicking power don't matter as much, but when it comes to kickers kicking power, bro, I ain't even gonna lie to you. If it's not at least an 89, they're useless to me. If their kicking power for a kicker isn't at least at 89, I'm not even gonna look at them. I don't care if they're a gym or not, because 9 times out of 10, when I think about kickers and punters, whatever their kicking power is, that's where it's going to stay. I don't see them usually. They don't usually have good skill caps, and I need my kickers and punters with high kicking power off the rip. They'll typically gain some more accuracy, but I can deal with a little lower accuracy, like in the 70s for accuracy. I can't deal with 70s for kicking power personally. But tier 3 is the only one that matters. Eh, increase all XP gains. To be honest, tier 3 for level 2 motivator is the only one that matters as well, in my opinion. But tier 3 doesn't matter in a way simply because you can change the XP sliders. If you're in an online dynasty and that's what they choose to do, you can do that. You can do that if you're just playing by yourself. So you don't even have to go to level 2 motivator. Honestly, you could just increase your XP sliders a little bit so you get that boost anyway. I mean, for your team for any position. I mean, like it's not. So this tier is honestly useless in my opinion. I don't know what they could change this to personally, but yeah, I don't know. I think if they want to make this better, increase the stamina. Like recover your stamina faster because I think that should be at least 1 or 2, if nothing else. Simply because when it comes to games, like you get sacked maybe twice, man. Your QB gets sacked twice or something. His stamina's damn near gone, man. He's about to be hurt for the rest of the game, possibly. And it's like I can't use him no more. Who knows how long it takes to actually for the stamina to increase again. Same thing with running back. I mean, it happens sometimes with receivers, but it probably I don't know. Like I don't see it happen a lot with receivers. Running backs for sure. Like when you're running the ball and For whatever reason, you get a weird tackle animation and you fall forward, but you fall on top of a guy that keeps lowering your stamina bar to the damn near red to 1 bar, and now your guy's just hurting. He's -20, running, carrying, speed. You know what I'm saying? He's basically inusable at this point for who knows, probably the rest of the game. I've literally had that happen like 2 minutes into the game, man. Those weird running animations where you just lay out on top of another on a like a CPU or something like that, the defender, or like three guys tackle you at the same time. None of them have aftershock, by the way. That's also a crazy thing. None of them have aftershock. They just tackle you. You just get hit 3 times by 3 different players, and you're down half your stamina, or whatever they call it, toughness bar. Sorry, toughness bar. You're down half your toughness bar right there. You run the ball again, your guy's damn near about to get injured. Like it's red, minus 10 speed, -10 carrying, all that stuff. What are we doing here? I think that's stupid. I think that's something that needs to be changed. It really only happens with it happens sometimes with linebackers too, which is kind of weird. But and it happens sometimes with DBs too, which is also kind of weird because I don't know. I just it's just so weird to see. But yeah, like make the toughness bar recover in game faster. Cause I don't. How is my guy's about to be hurt after 2 plays, 2 run plays? My guy's about to be injured. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? And on mind you, especially if he's a power back and he's about to be injured on 2 run plays, that's a shame. Cause that's literally what they're made for. Motivator, it's okay, but the first tier is the only one that really matter. Talent developer. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why this is in the game. Simply because transfers don't matter. For one, tier one garbage. How often do you get transfers in this game? After the third or fourth year. This past season, I got lucky. There was actually like 10 players I was interested in my school. That hasn't happened for quite a while. I think the most that I had for a while, for like a few years straight, was like four or five. Honestly, I had about 10 this past off season, and I'm not even playing most of these games. I'm just simming a lot of it, just to see how many games my team will win. Interest boost for whatever position when you recruit when your current player hits a skill cap. Why does that even matter? Why does that matter? So when they hit skill caps, that's when other players are gonna start getting interested. They're gonna be interested anyway. While you're recruiting them, you're gonna make them be interested. That makes no sense. Lower rated running backs will progress faster, and then starting running backs will gain XP faster. See, that's kind of a problem, only because you really only got 3 years with a lot of the players anyway. But to counter again, just like in Motivator, to counteract that, you can just up the XP uh, sliders for your team. If you're playing in an online dynasty with a bunch of other players, then that that's the counteract to that. It makes it a lot easier instead of having to spend 32 points on just one particular position. Yeah, let's just up the let's just up the slider to about 125. No problem. Trust me, they're gonna get a crazy increase just off that alone. You'll have plenty of players in the 90s with 125% XP sliders. Trust. Talent developer, useless. You got to have two players drafted in the first round, and you got to spend 25 points on recruiter. Another useless talent ability. This is a useless ability. This is a useless tree arc. All right, this is a useless arc. What they could put here, in my opinion, mm, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they could put here. If anybody has any ideas to replace this one, please put it in the comments. I would love to. I would love to see, or I would love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are with this one. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I didn't write anything down. Sorry, but yeah, honestly I don't know. Uh, maybe if you win. Okay, I just thought of something. Maybe this should be something that has to do with awards. Maybe you unlock a skill cap if you make first team, second team, freshman All American list, or even your conference All American list. You get a boost for making your conference All American list. You get a boost for making first team. You get a boost for making second team. You get a boost for making first team or a freshman All American list. They should have it split up for conference. They should have a tier for conference, a tier for first team, a tier for second team, and just winning an award in general. You win the Heisman, you get a hell of a boost. That whoever that player is, they get a nice boost. They get a nice boost in the off season. On top of if you have level 3 or tier 3 motivator, that training boost in the off season. They get a nice boost. I think that'd be good. Winning awards get your players boosted because awards should matter. What's the point of getting an award if your person still don't make first team or even second team? What's the point of even getting the returner award and you don't make an All American list? I think that's stupid. I think that's stupid in my opinion. The awards list should actually matter. They need to make it to where it matters in the game. And I think talent developer should be for award winners because that kind of makes sense. Even if you do cheese, some players will probably cheese it, but they get a nice boost. Honestly, I think this should be for awards. Award developer, award, whatever they want to call it, award winners. Because making first team All American, second team, freshman, those are awards. It shows up on your it shows up on their uh when you view the roster, it shows up. I gotta find somebody that won an award, but it shows up. Look, right there. Cam, all, all American. It shows. Let me see if it shows up. I don't know if it shows up in traits or awards because I've never looked. Here's the crazy thing: I've won awards with him. Uh, all American should be an award. It doesn't show up. How crazy is that? I don't know who else has won an award. I'm gonna be completely honest. Okay, Cedric. I think Cedric won the Heisman. I think that should be his own separate little icon. H, maybe H for Heisman. I don't remember. No, who won an who? I think it was only quarterbacks that won the Heisman. If you want me to be completely honest, but either way, is no one from? Why is no one from? If someone wins an award, why does it not show up? I'm trying to find somebody that actually won an award. I don't have anybody. It doesn't. It doesn't even show. Yeah, it doesn't even show. That's a shame. Doesn't matter. Doesn't even matter. So that's just the regular six. Program builder. You gotta what? Make the playoffs four times, or you gotta win four playoff games. It's not a bad thing. That's not a hard goal necessarily. I mean, it's kind of hard, but it's doable. It could take 4 or 5 years, but it's doable for sure. But unfortunately, I don't have it on this one. But a lot of the things in it are useless. Let's skip that one because I think I have it in another save. Let's look at CEO. CEO, you got to win two national championships. Delay Sunday. Only CEO can delay a first rounder. That's kind of crazy. You can spend a second persuasion on a player if the first one fails. And I put this to see if it mattered. Home field advantage effects are lower at rival stadiums. I don't know why this is here because if you have Scheme Guru, it's literally the same thing. Well, I thought it was. My bad. That's at. Oh yeah, it's right here. Hater blockers, slight reduction to crowd, and then they got Teflon. Significant reduction of crowd noise impact on the road. They have it twice, and it's cheaper, technically, as a Scheme Guru. It's only 16. It costs 18 as CEO. You can have both. I don't know if it's better in CEO or if it's better in Scheme Guru. But damn it, they got it twice. Why? This is just for rivals. Who cares? Trust me, I played Florida. It didn't matter. I promise you it didn't matter. I promise you it didn't matter. Florida still got a top 25 stadium post. Trust. Man, that thing was shaking like a stripper in church. Trust. Another ability, portal review. Able to see other schools' at risk players. Why does this matter? Because the transfer portal is trash. Absolute garbage. This has no effect. Who cares? You can look at all the players that are going to possibly leave once the season's over. It's called players leaving. You can look through every excuse me, you can look through every school in the country. Now, you can write down all those names or take screenshots or however you want to do it, take a picture of all the players potentially leaving those schools. Some of them might actually stay, but you can still cultivate a list for yourself for people you want to go after. And guess what? When the transfer portal comes, you probably got 8 players looking at you, and then ain't none of the people that you was looking at. Because once the transfer portal hits, they're already in their top five. And trust me, most of it is not championship contender. Most of it is proximity to home, what maybe play style, maybe depending on how you play and what school you at and things like that. But besides proximity to home, play style is the main one that gets most people. So if if you're not that person's close to home, who cares? Most of the time you're not. That's why I say the transfer portal needs to be revamped completely. It needs to be more consistent the longer you play a dynasty. If you guys have an online, if you're playing with a group of friends, y'all play online dynasty for the whole from if you get early access from early access all the way up until like the month of the new one, transfer portal should be still be consistent. You should still be able to get good players in the portal, regardless. If y'all in 2060, simply because why why even make it a thing if you're not gonna if it's only gonna be good for 3 or 4 years max? Useless. To me, this is probably one of the better abilities. Increase all skill group Increase all skill group caps by one for rising seniors. Eh, if they decide to stay, a lot of them do. If they're not a 90 overall, if they're a 90 overall plus in their junior year, they're leaving. But if they're not a 90 by the time they end of their junior season, they're not leaving. 90, 91. If they're not, they're gonna stay. This will be cool for them. I don't usually notice it, but I put it in there just because again, some positions have horrible skill caps. Receivers, running backs, quarterbacks sometimes. Well, quarterbacks too. Running backs definitely, receivers definitely. Eh, it's okay. It just means they get the chance to be a little better. Not a problem. I don't think this really matters. Discount on coach abilities when another coach has that same ability. 9 times out of 10, I already got it. So who cares? I already got it. More than likely, I'm just going after certain coaches that got certain abilities at that point. I don't care about when it comes to hiring coaches. I don't give a damn what their pipeline is. To be honest, I don't care what their scheme is, offensively or defensively. I just care about what their coach abilities are. I'm gonna be completely honest. Unfortunately, you can't see their coaching abilities. You can only see the outline of it. You only can see the skeleton. And if they don't have motivator or tactician pretty high, I don't even look. I don't even care. So this is useless. Switch this out. This is something where those I feel like CEO or a program builder is one of those you could put where you could see generational talent. Maybe program builder or a CEO. One of them two. Where you can see it could cost 18 points, but you can see generational talents. But you got to win two natties to see it. I like that. I like that. You got to earn the right to see generational talent. You got to earn the right or even make a generational talent. Gasoline. Player starts hot in a top five, rival, bowl, or championship games. Who cares? I don't want to start hot. I want to finish hot. Who cares? This is useless. How about they get more consistent in the game? Because it seems like the harder the game, the more inconsistent they get. This isn't bad. You get a 1 year extension when face being fired. That could be good, especially if you on a depending on what you're doing for your like if you're making videos, making content for this game, and your team like you're not actually playing any games, or you could just be bad at the game for the time being. But if you're like just simming games for the sake of content and things like that, and your school is just consistently bad, I could see this. But the only issue is you gotta win two national championships to get this. Why would you ever get to this point? You would probably never get to this point. You would never get to this point if you win two national championships. Even in program builder, you win four playoff games. You even get to the playoffs, you know, you getting to the playoffs with a team in general is like the highest. That's like the highest goal for these contracts, as far as I've seen. That's the highest goal that I've seen. You gotta win a playoff game. That's the tier. That's the highest tier. It doesn't say win a championship. I've been doing this. I've been playing this dynasty for 2035. This is my coaching contract. Make the playoffs. That's not hard to do. Unless I'm in a down year, unless I'm in a down year, I would never have to worry about this stupid ability. I kind of feel like they just threw some BS in here. I'm gonna be honest. This is stupid. This should not be in CEO. Maybe program builder. Maybe, but you got to win 4 playoff games just to do that. There's gonna be a few times where you got a down year, for sure. You get at least. Mm, I guess it depends on your contract. If you got to make the playoffs as your contract, you probably got 2 years. So I can understand to an extent, because like, yeah, if you do auto recruiting, they're gonna pick trash a lot of the time. So I can understand that. I can understand if you're not doing the recruiting, when you let the computer do the recruiting, yeah, I can see that to some extent, because they do be going after some garbage because they don't recruit like you would. So yeah. Dream School instant commit when offering a scholarship. This only works for tier 4 and lower. This will never work for a tier 5. I mean tier 5. This will only work for a 4 star or 3 star, or let's just say 4 star or lower. This will never work for a 5 star, and it should. It should actually work for a 5 star, in my opinion. Especially if I would say you should have a better chance if they're already first on your board. If you're already, I'm sorry, not on their board, on your board. If you're first on their board, you should have a better chance of signing them faster than anybody else. Because if I'm first on your board and I'm actually actively scouting you and putting in hours from that first initial offer scholarship, I should get more of a boost. I should be in a bigger lead than anybody if I'm first on your board, especially as a 5. I would say more so for a 5 star. Maybe they should change this a little bit. They should tweak this a little bit. Simply because, if anything, they should put excluding 5 stars, if nothing else. If they're not going to change this, they should just put underneath excluding 5 stars, because you will never get an instant commit on a 5 star. It doesn't matter if you go, it doesn't matter if I've been winning the championship every year since I started this dynasty. You will never, ever do an instant commit 5 star. That's a fact. That is a fact. You will never. My bad. My bad, big dog. Sorry, I just had to plug the computer in. So, and I'm gonna be honest with you, you rarely get this with 4 stars. I just tried it one time. I went out to everyone that I was number one on 4 star. Granted, it's a chance, so the probability is probably very, very low. I think I have. Mm, I want to say it was like 30 players that I was number one on their board. I only got 2 instant commits, and it was players that really weren't that good as well, which is kind of sad. It wasn't even good players that I wanted, actually. It was two on the borderline players, like so. Honestly, they weren't even like top tier in attributes wise. But I feel like when it comes to abilities, if you give you the CEO ability, I feel like there should be another one. You should be able to decommit players that have already signed to you. You should be able to uh cancel their scholarship. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just changed my mind and I don't want you, so they could go back into the pool. I mean, it happens. There's players that are committed and they've committed for a while, but they decide they want to open it back up. Now, a lot of them are like verbal commits for sure. So I don't know how they would. I mean, they should be able to do that. Maybe if anything, it takes the counter to that. If you decide to decommit from someone, maybe the counter is you got one less person that you can offer a scholarship to. So if you unfortunately went after a whole 35 class and you signed someone and you decided I don't really want them after all, maybe you only got 34 out of 34 now, not 35 out of 34, or not 34 out of 35. You don't get it. You don't get that extra spot for the rest of the season or during the transfer portal or anything like that. You only got 35 play or 34 players. If you do 5 of them, let's just say you go at the 35 again and you don't like 5 of them. Well, now you're down to 30. So you can't go after any transfers regardless. They should have like a counter to it if nothing else. Like again, this is just my opinion. So these are things that I think they should do to, I think, change up and make, some of these coaching abilities are just better and make it a little more dynamic as well. I think you should be able to have dynamic rivals as well. So I think that should be a thing. And if you've been smacking a rival for the longest time, I mean, hey, look, you're not a rival anymore. If I beat you, if I beat you 5 years straight, to some extent, I don't even think that's a rivalry anymore. But I don't know. That's just me. But um, I don't know. Like I think they should figure out a way to make things a little better, a little more competitive, in my opinion. Now, let me see if I. Other than that, I think they should get rid of some of that stuff too. Think of it more so with a program. You should be able to uh recruit someone's coach. I think as well when it comes to the coaching carousel and things like that, hiring a coach, there should be more. The big schools shouldn't have national um, recruiters or coordinators. Their pipeline shouldn't be national. If anything, in a program builder, or maybe that could be CEO, where you have, uh, you could if they should take national out and just put it in program builder, possibly where you can either you or maybe I wouldn't even say you're a coordinator. Okay, you can have a pipeline boot. It should be like two different abilities. You can have an extra pipeline, or your coordinator can get an extra pipeline. But your coordinator, but if you or your coordinator leaves that school, you lose it. So you have to gain it. I mean, you can get the points back, but you basically have to regain it at another school or whatever the case may be. So if you don't stick with that school, you lose it regardless. It would make it fair, so that way they can't keep that, especially your coordinators, because they always transfer. They always transfer out. So if you at least get to keep it, if they don't get to keep it, if they leave, then hey, why? All's fair, right? So I think they should take out national pipelines in general and just make it to where you can have a second pipeline. So that way it just makes it more fair because like I said, you can't see it on here. But that JoJo dude, he has national pipeline. My defensive coordinator has national pipeline, and he's been with me. He's literally been here since I started this dynasty. So I don't. I mean, I hope he never leaves, and it just seems like he's never gonna leave, which is good. But um, yeah, I just don't think it should be. I don't think it should be that way. I understand certain schools would have it simply because they're big programs, Power Five schools, and things like that. You know, those big name schools like Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Alabama. You see them on every board, and they usually have at least a bronze damn near everywhere. So, I mean, their pipeline it stretches far, man. Their influence stretches far, literally over the all over the country. So I get it, but I don't. At this point, going forward, let's cut that out. Two pipelines, cool. Let's keep it that way. But you should be able to. Nah, that wouldn't be fair. You should have the ability to gain an extra pipeline, if nothing else. But you should also have the ability as well. I think with Program Builder to extend your coordinators' contracts. Just like you persuaded them not to leave, like if you could persuade players not to leave or go into the draft, you should be able to persuade your coaches not to leave. I mean, I don't like having to switch out coordinators every couple of years. That brings my coach prestige down and things like that. I understand it happens, and it should be like, if nothing else, it should be just like the players. The coach and like players leaving, it should be the coach too. The coach should be there as well. So, if there's no guarantee, I could understand if he goes to the NFL or something. Like, you should see where your coach is actually going. You should see like he's looking to take this job and things like that. The coaching carousel is a little underdeveloped in my opinion, because you got to remember their name and things like that to see where they went to, or if they whatever, if they retired or not, and things like that. And I mean, I personally think that it should just be a little bit more simpler. It should be just like it would be in real life. You have to negotiate. Again, I don't know how that would work. I mean, if it had the same kind of contract like the head coach would, because obviously they're not going to put NIL in. But why not make it make it make it make it a challenge? And how about just like the transfer portal? If you in an online dynasty, other coaches can get your other online players can get your coach. Maybe they put in an offer they can't refuse. Maybe they promise them the head coach job. I don't know. Put a bid out for coaches, coordinators. I mean, at least coordinators. Maybe you able to team up with another guy, and y'all be the head coach and offensive coordinator. I mean, I think that would be pretty interesting too. Able to team up with another dynasty dynasty player, and then your team just becomes a computer until maybe one day maybe one day they'll come back around. I don't know, man, but that's all I got right now. Tell me your thoughts about coaching abilities, man. If y'all made it this far, I know I'm really long winded. I can talk for days and hours and things like that. If you made it this far, man, I appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Um, I'm about to start streaming again, more consistently on Twitch. So please, please, just follow me on Twitch. Um, I'll probably keep, because I can't multi-stream yet. I'll keep my college football streams to YouTube, and then I'll do like my variety streams on Twitch. But I am open to playing college football on Twitch as well. Uh, just let me know in the comments and things like that as well. I don't have a schedule for Twitch, so I can't say that I'm going to stream today and it doesn't happen, or tomorrow. If I stream, it's typically in the morning from like 8 to maybe 2 o'clock. like around that time. But I am going to start being more consistent at that. So please just bear with me. Uh, and also, if you haven't checked out I'm going to call that part one of my wish list for CFB 26. Because I am going to do a part two with that. I think it's going to be more so gameplay specifically. Uh, if you haven't checked out that video, please check it out. Um, please like the video. I'm trying to get back into the algorithm, man. I haven't been as consistent. I'm going to finish out my Washington Dynasty probably one more year as well. I'm going to put those videos up. I'm going to not stream. I'm going to combine like a lot of the gameplay together in one video. So it won't be just multiple videos per game. It won't be one game per video. It'll probably be a combination of 2 or 3 per video just to kind of get through it. Because I think we're maybe like a month away from, maybe a little more than a month away from the new game coming out. So yeah, I want to just kind of finish that out another year or two and see how that goes. Um, and like I said, if you guys have your comments, thoughts, comments, concerns, or if you just disagree with me, that's fine. I have no problems with that. Again, I can talk for days, hours about things like this. If you have your own opinion about whatever I said, please, please, please put it in the comments. I would love to see what you write. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. I am trying to grow slowly but surely. I'm not just a CFB guy. I am going to do more things on this channel, not just college football, but I will say college football has been very, very fun. I'm not a Madden guy. I used to be a really, really heavy Madden guy. But Madden just got really repetitive for me personally after like 14, and I just got tired of it. I haven't played Madden since when was Calvin Johnson on the cover? Who was on cover? Who was on the I don't remember who was on Madden 14 cover. Whoever was on Madden 14 cover, that was the last time I played it. So yeah, I think it was Calvin Johnson. I don't remember. But yeah, I don't think Calvin Johnson. I think that was like 8. That couldn't have been 18. I don't remember. Whoever was on, I just know who was on Madden 14 cover. That was the last Madden I actually played consistently. Other than that, yeah, it just nothing's really gotten that much better. So I just stopped playing. But I know this is a long outro. I apologize. Like I said, I'll see you guys on the next video, man. Look out for part 2 of my wish list for CFB 26, man. Tell me what you guys think about the album cover. Jesus. Tell me what you guys think about the cover for College Football 26, the original, and then the deluxe with all the people on it, things like that as well. And I will check in with you guys next time. Peace.